Let's bring you some more analysis now with Peter Dean. He's the director of the UWA Defence and Security Institute. Peter, you heard some of the reaction we've seen coming through so far. I see the former Foreign Minister Bob Carr also raising some concerns about this move today. Did we get to a position by which Australia didn't really have a choice, that the Chinese trade hostility, rising tensions in the region almost forced our hand to this, to blatantly side with the US, really, in a bid to counter Chinese aggression?
Well, I think what we're seeing here is the position where we got to the point where the French submarine deal was just really not working out. And if you look at this from a purely military capability point of view, a nuclear-powered submarine is far superior for what Australia needs for its military requirements. I mean, the conventional submarines that we have are absolutely world-class, but they are limited in what they can do because they're conventionally powered and rely on their battery power to operate underwater. So this is a real step change. And I think what the government's done is broken a bit of a nexus here of issues we had about submarines. I mean, it was this government that took us down the path of the French submarine in the first place. But I think they've looked at the opportunity here and they've grasped it with two hands, and they've got to be applauded for that. The real limitation we've had on going down this pathway in the past has been domestic political concerns, and we saw that from the Labor leader there. Concerns about a domestic nuclear industry that we don't have in Australia. But always the biggest limitation was that the US in the past has been unwilling to share the gold standard nuclear technology secrets that they have with any other country. The last time they did was with Great Britain, many, many decades ago. So now that we've pushed past this barrier, that has been the greatest hurdle towards developing this type of capability. And it's a really significant achievement.
And do you expect it will be the launch pad for other closer ties as well? Do you think that it is this move that will make that much discussed US pivot to Asia a reality in terms of more rotations here, more of a presence for the US in Australia?
Yeah, well, what's really interesting, the actual headline of that agreement this morning was the trilateral security partnership that we've entered into. But of course, the headline grabber, the headline stealer out of that press conference this morning was the first initiative that has come out of this, which is the nuclear-powered submarines for Australia. So what we don't know is what's going to happen next in this new trilateral partnership. They hinted towards technology interactions, they've hinted towards more economic and more security partnerships. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that develops. And of course, this comes on the precipice of the AUSMIN summit that's about to happen in Brisbane. That is the 2+2 meeting between the Australian Foreign and Defence Ministers and their US counterparts. And of course, soon thereafter, the Prime Minister will go to Washington for the leaders' meeting of the Quad. So what I probably expect to see in the next couple of days is even more announcements about a deepening partnership between Australia and the United States. I suspect we'll probably see some significant force posture movements from the United States out of the AUSMIN agreement. And of course, there have been hints. I mean, Peter Dutton's made it very clear that he's keen to have more US troops, planes, aircraft and ships in Australia. And I suspect that out of this AUSMIN meeting, we'll see something here. So it's a real deepening of the relationship. I mean, this has been going on for a long time in terms of solidifying relations between Australia and the United States. This now brings the UK into this relationship as well, and really deepens those ties too.
Peter, the Chief of Defence in that news conference earlier made it very clear. He stated that our strategic environment has deteriorated. How tenuous is the relationship with China? What do you see as the likelihood for conflict? And when the Prime Minister says that this move is about keeping Australians safe, do you agree that Australians are safer because of this deal?
Well, it's an interesting position that we're in. Certainly the government announced last year in their defence strategic update that the region was deteriorating, and that was widely accepted by commentators and analysis at the time. The interesting thing they did as part of that update was remove what they called the 10 years of warning time. That is, the expectation defence plans on that there won't be a major conflict in our region for 10 years. That's over. The sort of gap we have in capability now is that these submarines actually won't arrive, we expect, given what we know on so far today, to around about 2040. So that's well past that 10-year mark. But certainly what the government's attempting to do here is upgrade our submarine capability, which is the #1 deterrence capability that Australia has. And this is also important around balancing out the submarine capability in the region with our partners as well. So I think this is a really important move and step. There's some concern about the time, but You go back to the French attack class submarines, they were going to take just as long, or if not even longer, to develop not as capable weapon system. So this is really key to our deterrence posture. And it's about the way that the Australian nation is positioning itself with the UK, US and other allies, like we saw earlier this week when we visited, or partners that we visited with Indonesia and India and South Korea, about ensuring that we have deep partnerships in the region around protecting the regional order. And of course, that's all aimed at maintaining peace and security in that particular region. But you have to do that with a credible military and a credible deterrence capability behind you.
Peter Dean, appreciate your analysis. Thank you.